So the WWE in the 2020s has had their fair share of very bad moments and absolutely awesome moments as well, but I want to talk about the true best performers and the top 5 MVPs in WWE of the decade so far, and this is going to be judged off of multiple different things like quality, consistency, the segments, the promos, the matches, and the overall impact they've had on the WWE so far this decade, right? And you're probably going to hear me say some things in this video that you never thought you would hear me say, possibly a little bit of libations and Whitley and support of a Nightmare, the North Star. But we'll get into that. We'll get into that in a little bit later, man. But without further ado, let's get into number 5 on this list. And starting off this list at number 5 is going to be Drew McIntyre. I can't stop thinking about Punk. Drew McIntyre has definitely been one of the MVPs of the decade, man. Simply the fact that this year alone, I'd say that he's the MVP of WWE for 2024, at least one of them, right? And on top of that, we can date this back to COVID. WWE, when Roman Reigns left, when COVID started, he took his leave of absence. Drew McIntyre, stepped up as that star that they needed, that top star. He won the championship at WrestleMania 36 with no fans, which is unfortunate, but he got his moment. And since then, he's just been continuing to elevate in the ring, on the mic, in his storytelling. He's had so many banger, absolute awesome matches, right? His match versus Roman at Clash at the Castle, was epic. The triple threat at Mania 39 with Gunther and Sheamus was awesome. All of his matches with Seth Rollins for the world title were also great. And you also have the match he had recently at Hell in a Cell with Punk, which was also pretty good. Overrated, but it was pretty good with great moments throughout, right? Then you have his storytelling, his promo work, his character work, him being this internet troll, this absolute menace, this villain who's going toe-to-toe on the mic with people like Sheamus and grilling him with burger after burger after burger, you know what I'm saying? With Punk, I can't stop thinking about Punk. I have to shout out one of Drew's best promo lines with Punk, which was the one where he's like, you don't do drugs, you don't drink, you're straight edge, but you spend all your time in rehab. That was absolutely incredible, man. He's doing great things on the mic. All the great promos he's cut with Punk in the ring, the feud he had with Punk, the feud he had with Rollins, the feud he was involved in with the Judgment Day and with the baby faces of Raw and everything. Drew McIntyre has elevated to a completely different level on the mic in the storytelling realm, and his matches have continued to just get better and better and better. And in this year alone, I would say he's the MVP of WWE for 2024 with the work he's done on the mic, in the ring, everything like that. He has been awesome this decade, and he is the MVP of this year and one of the MVPs of the decade so far. And now we're at the part of the video where I'm going to say something that you never thought I would say. Coming in at number 4 is the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. Now, obviously, I've bashed this dude into oblivion and all this stuff about his title reign, which currently is one of the worst WWE Championship reigns ever. However, Cody Rhodes deserves this respect. I respect thee, ho. I love thee, ho. I want some Wheatley with some libations on the libation bus. Cody Rhodes deserves his respect for this video specifically, okay? Now, obviously, when he came back to WWE, he helped elevate the company to an extent, right? When Gunther last week on Raw, a couple weeks ago, was like, the big boom period is happening on the back of you, Cody. He's obviously lying. This isn't a big boom period. I've gotten into reasons as to that before. That line was infuriating. However, Cody Rhodes has helped the company in different ways. And one of those ways is that Cody Rhodes actually got super over when he came back to WWE, obviously, right? So he became one of the top babyface superstars. And because of that, in times where Roman Reigns was taking breaks or leaves of absences during his long championship reign, you had a top star who was showing up on pretty much every single week of Raw and even sometimes on SmackDown as a star you could look forward to in Roman's absence on some episodes and in some periods of time during his championship reign. So I have to respect him for that. I also have to respect the fact that in this quote-unquote boom period, which isn't really a boom period, it's just a better period of WWE than like the late 2010s, for example, in like 2018, 2019. But anyways, in this boom period, quote-unquote, Cody has been one of the most over stars by far, and I have to give him the respect for that. The fact that this guy was once Stardust, and before that he was like dashing Cody Rhodes, and before that he was in Legacy being a jobber when I was growing up, right? The fact that he's elevated himself, I don't really think much has changed at all. He's still a jobber, but anyways, the fact that he's elevated himself to a level where WWE would even want to put the WWE Championship on him, and the crowd is super in love with this guy, they support him, that is respectable, it is admirable. The great matches he's put on with Rollins, the feuds he's done with Roman and Rock, leading up to the respective Manias with Mania 39 and Mania 40. He served as that babyface star that you could root for against The Rock, against Roman, against the Bloodline, and against Seth Rollins in 2022, right? All of these different things he's done, along with being a great guy, it seems, off camera, and a great guy who's worked with many different fans through Make-A-Wish and all this stuff. He's definitely helped the product more than he's hurt it over the last few years, and because he's one of the biggest stars of this quote-unquote boom period, I have to give him the respect that he deserves. And coming in at number 3 is Seth freaking Rollins, man. Similar to Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins has helped for the last, 4 years, right? He didn't just join in 2022. Seth was here the whole time through the COVID era, all the way up until now. He's been injured this year, so he hasn't really done much in 2024 besides the build up to Mania and the night of WrestleMania. However, Seth Rollins has been here serving in different roles as a heel in different important feuds and elevating people like Cody Rhodes and even having a great feud with Roman Reigns in the 2022 Royal Rumble era. And on top of that, his feud with Edge I thought was also really good. He helped elevate Drew McIntyre as well with their World Championship feud in the late parts of last year, even early this year, to build up to Mania 40. And he served a role. He's kind of a complimentary piece, right, to the feud between Roman, Rock, and Cody Rhodes. He served in that as well. Seth Rollins has helped to elevate so much talent while also being in there week in, week out, so much so that he hurt his knees and hurt his back and is now barely showing up right this year because of the injuries. So Seth Rollins definitely has to get the respect and the people he's elevated. He's helped the company. He didn't have to lay down and let Cody Rhodes walk over him 3 different matches in a row, but he did it so that it would elevate Cody to be another top star inside of the company. So Seth being that selfless, putting on multiple banger matches like his match versus Riddle at Clash at the Castle in 2022. All 3 of his matches versus Cody, specifically the Hell in a Cell one, was very good. He had a great match versus Roman at the Royal Rumble, and Seth Rollins just puts on great matches every time he pretty much shows up and wrestles on a PLE or on an episode of Raw. And on top of that, Seth helped elevate the World Heavyweight Championship. Even though it still felt secondary to Roman's title, he helped elevate it and give us something, to look forward to and to see a championship defended on weekly TV while Roman was taking his breaks. So Seth Rollins has pretty much served the role that Cody Rhodes has, but just in multiple different aspects and to a heightened amount of time and in a more consistent manner, because I think Seth is a better performer than Cody Rhodes when it comes to wrestling, matches, segments, all that stuff, right? So Seth gets my respect, and he has done a great job, and he is one of the MVPs of the decade for sure. And at number 2 is the final boss, The Rock. And I know what you're thinking. The Rock has only been there for 4 months, dude. What are you talking about? In The Rock's 4 months at the beginning of this year of 2024, he did more in that 4 months than many WWE superstars have done in their entire careers. The Rock did so many different things. Number 1, he helped elevate the guy who was going to win the WWE Championship, right? Without The Rock, Cody Rhodes doesn't feel as important, and you're not rooting for him as much leading into Mania 40. Another thing The Rock did is he brought millions and millions of eyeballs to the product, leading up to Mania 40. Your SmackDowns were getting, already getting good views with Roman as champ, but with The Rock, and you're getting extra hundreds of thousands, millions of people tuning in on social media, and you also have the fact that The Rock did some of the greatest segments and promos in WWE history just in the 4 months alone. He elevated and made it one of the greatest runs to a Mania ever and made it feel like one of the biggest WrestleManias ever. You have the segments he did on Instagram. Those promos were hilarious, dude. Off is the direction you can F. You know what I'm saying? All the different things he was doing, he was incredible. The segment where he showed up on Raw and made Cody bleed, like everything this dude does touches to gold, man. He was absolutely phenomenal, and he laid groundwork for things that were going to come down the line, probably with him and Roman at WrestleMania 41 or even beyond that, right? And things he's going to be working with Cody, so you're still kind of, looking forward to what might happen with Cody and Rock down the line. He laid the groundwork. He elevated everyone he was involved with the run to WrestleMania. He also joined the board of TKO directors as one of the leaders of the company. With all the allegations with Vince, he stepped in and took away that bad press and did something meaningful and turned it into something that ended up being a great positive and an awesome run to WrestleMania 40. And it's The Rock. He's one of the greatest of all time. This guy has to be on the list. His impact, his aura, his presence, his power that he's brought back to the product, the eyeballs he brought to it. The Rock is awesome, and he has contributed so much in just that short little amount of time, man. When The Rock said wrestling was cool again in the build to Mania 40, he really meant it, man. Wrestling just felt cooler. It felt more grandiose. It felt more big and more impactful with The Rock being involved and with everything he was doing, showing in for multiple different weeks at a time, like weeks in a row, doing surprise appearances like the one he did on Raw after, when he beat Cody Rhodes up, I'm gonna make you bleed, boy, Mama Rose. You know what I'm saying? The Rock is awesome. Can't wait to see him return for the build-up to Mania 41. It's gonna be crazy. And at number 1, what need be said, bro? The Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns, has to be number 1. The stuff that he has done in the last 4 or 5 years is genuinely generational. I know everyone says, oh, we're on a generational run, all this stuff. It's cringe, but this is the general meaning of generational run. At the end of the day, he has delivered to us one of the greatest title reigns in wrestling history. Not just WWE, in wrestling history. The people he's elevated along the way. You had main event Jey Uso. All this yeet and him being a top star in the company started with the Bloodline. The Bloodline is also one of the greatest stories in professional wrestling history. And the fact that all that was cultivated, culminated, expanded on in the last 4 years, and it still continues to go to this day, is a testament to how great the story is and how much great work he's done. You also have the fact that Roman Reigns has main evented so many massive PLEs over the last 4 or 5 years and has been amazing in nearly all of them. Him versus Brock at SummerSlam, classic. Him versus Cody Mania 39, classic. Him versus Cody Mania 40, classic. Him versus Rollins 2022, Royal Rumble, awesome. Him versus Drew, Clash at the Castle, incredible. This dude puts on banger matches. He has so many iconic promos and segments. You had the Trial of the Bloodline segment with Sami Zayn. You had the segments in promos he did with John Cena where he was like, you weren't good enough for your wife, Nikki Bella. And then he also said the stuff with Seth Rollins. He's like, if I wanted to fight a star, I'd choose your wife. He also had the stuff with Cody Rhodes. Have you ever competed for one of these? Have you even, had a match for one of these? Stuff like that. He has had so many iconic promo segments. And on top of that, you also have to remember that Roman Reigns did all of this while also elevating the talent around him. Like I said, he made Jey Uso feel like a big star and led to what Jey Uso's doing now. Sami Zayn had the greatest run of his career in the first half of 2023, all on the back of Roman Reigns in the Bloodline. He's also helped elevate Paul Heyman like Paul Heyman has helped elevate Roman Reigns. This dude is, like I always say, a rising tide lifts all boats, and he's lifted all ships. He has been the anchor of WWE this decade, and quite frankly, he is the generational talent of this decade. I don't think he's the GOAT, but he's headed towards that Mount Rushmore territory because he's the best of this era, and it's not remotely close. The impact he's done, all these Netflix deals, the quote-unquote big boom, the only big boom that was happening was really the fact that Roman Reigns was bringing more eyeballs and upping the quality of storytelling in WWE and transcending the storytelling methods you have, like the video cinematic with him and Cody. None of that happens without Paul Heyman and the Bloodline and the ideas of Roman Reigns and his great creative prowess he's shown over the last 4 or 5 years, man. I can't say enough about this guy, man. It sounds like I'm glazing, but that's actually what's happening. I am glazing at this point because he is the guy that got me back into wrestling in 2023. He's the main reason why I still watch it now, obviously, right? And I'm sure that's the case for many millions or hundreds of thousands of people across the world. He's going to go down as one of the greatest of all time, and I have respect for him just like I do everyone else on this list, and he is the MVP of this decade and of this entire last 10 years or era of WWE. And overall, that's going to wrap it up for my list of the top 5 MVPs of the decade so far for WWE. Let me know what you think about the list and who you think are the MVPs of the decade. Who do you think is shining out? Who did I not mention that you wish was on the list, etc. And as always, I hope you guys have a phenomenal day. Peace out.